What's up, guys? So today we're working on the 67 F100 again. A lot of stuff to go over, so we're just gonna get right to it. So before we get into all the stuff that I had to do to get the Crown Vic engine and transmission out, because remember, there is a 2006 Crown Vic that I bought with an engine and transmission that had about 70,000 miles on it. And I'm using the engine and the transmission, so have that modern power plant in there. It's gonna be plenty of power to get me around on for right now. It's gonna sound good, and it's just gonna be an awesome daily. But there's so much more. So I'm gonna spin the camera around and kind of go through everything that I've got in the last few days. All right, so first box here is, it's like one of 4 boxes, but this is a coilover kit. This is from QA1. And the 3 boxes down here, it's basically a torque arm suspension for the rear made by QA1. It's all bolt-on. It has like a included C-notch in it and everything, so it's gonna be a really awesome setup. I was gonna go with the 4-link, but I ended up going the torque arm suspension instead because it's just gonna be better around corners and stuff like that. So I opted not to go with the 4-link and to go with the torque arm suspension. So that is all in that kit. Next, we have a Holley Terminator setup. This is the X Max. And it's got your little small screen in there and everything, wiring harness in there. We'll get to that in another video because there's going to be several videos on this whole entire thing, but I'm just kind of going over what the plan is for right now. Again, I'm not going to dig into those boxes right now. It'll be in a separate video, but I'll make sure that I show you guys everything and exactly how all this stuff goes on there. All right, so I've got a kit here from Phytech. I love using them for all my fuel supply stuff. Obviously, this will relocate it from inside the cab to underneath the bed between the frame rails. So this is like the 1970 Mustang tank. From a lot of the guys that are doing this kind of swap. It's supposed to be probably one of the easiest tanks to use, and then you'll just make an access cover or something in the floor of the bed. That's what I plan on doing. But it comes with a sending unit, and then you've got a hanger and a pump and everything. I think this is your pump. Again, I'll go through this stuff way more in depth, but basically 340 liter per hour fuel pump is going to be mounted in there, and that's just going to be like a very good amount of fuel for this setup because, again, it's not crazy horsepower. And even if we make some like minor upgrades in the future, that 340 liter per hour fuel pump will be plenty. So the last but definitely not the least, probably actually my favorite part of the truck so far, is the wheel and tire package that I got. So I'm running the Crown Vic front suspension, and that's got a wider width hub to hub than the rear 9-inch from the factory 67 Ford F100. So since there's a different width, I had to run a wheel that offered, you know, several different types of offsets and stuff. So a lot of looking on the computer and scratching my head, and I didn't really want to run a spacer, and if I did run a spacer, I wanted it to be like very minimal, and this setup allowed me to do that. So all right, guys, so here's my setup on the rear. I'm going to link to these wheels and tires and everything down in the description. Everything here was ordered through Summit Racing. So basically the tire is a Nitto GT555, and this is a 275 40/18. So it's got, I didn't like the rubber band style tires. I wanted something that actually had some meat to it. So that's what I ended up going with there. And it's a 9.5-inch wide wheel on the back, and then an 8.5 on the front. But you can notice right here the different offsets in those wheels. So this has a much shallower lip right here, and this one obviously sits back more recessed in the wheel opening. So All right guys, so essentially the only thing that is still mounted on the Crown Vic is the front suspension, and I'm gonna leave it on there right now because obviously it's sitting out in the gravel and it's hard enough to push the thing. So I think it'd be even harder if it didn't have front tires on it. All right, so this build is really cool to me because if you know me personally, you know that I was a police officer for 7 or 8 years, and we learned to drive on those Crown Vics. I mean, we go through our emergency vehicle training and you're ripping around in a Crown Vic. I know from experience there that it is a fairly potent engine for, I mean, what it is. It's a small V8, but it's gonna be perfect for this truck. So like you're kind of mixing like some nostalgia, you know, for me, and then the old truck. It's gonna be a really cool build for me. I say nostalgia like I was a police officer 20 years ago, but I just quit last year, so I don't know why I said nostalgia, but you get what I'm trying to say. So it's kind of just like officially waiting for everything to arrive, which at this point, everything has actually arrived. So it's nearly ready to start. I'm just gonna kind of go through, and there's some things that I'll have to do differently on this engine and transmission, and that's what I'm gonna show you right now. All right, so the first thing is this throttle body right here. So you'll notice on the side, this is a drive-by-wire setup. So Holley offers drive-by-wire kits, but I couldn't get a straight answer of like, you know, whether a throttle body would bolt in place or not. They have one for the Coyote, but you know, I didn't know if it was a different bolt pattern for like the actual throttle body mounting on there. I just said screw the drive-by-wire setup, and I'm gonna go to a cable setup. So that fixes that. So I'll just go with like a earlier, maybe like a 2003 Crown Vic. It should have a cable driven setup on it. The other thing, there are some things that I'm going to delete off of here. I'll probably go into those more in depth as I'm going through them. But yeah, so the transmission is a 4R70W, I believe, or 70E. That was another thing that I couldn't get a direct answer on, but apparently it doesn't matter whether it's a 4R70E or a 4R70W. Allegedly, Holley's transmission controller on the Terminator X Max will work with this transmission. Allegedly, we'll find out. So that's kind of my part through this whole build. I know this is a really popular thing that's going on right now. I know I could take the factory harness, kind of thin it down, go send my computer off and have it tuned and all that stuff, but I don't want to do that. I want to have like a plug and play Holley setup that, you know, if that engine blew up, I could, you know, take another one, throw it in there, and even like, you know, do some tuning on it myself if I wanted to, you know, put a power adder on there or something. You know, you have the freedom of doing that without having somebody constantly tuning it for you. So in the long run, the Holley Terminator setup would probably pay for itself. So for me, on this particular build, that's why I went with the Holley. They're actually one of the only ones that I could find that actually had a plug and play system for the 4.6 liter mod motor. So I will be sharing my opinions on everything and how, you know, bolt on or plug in all this stuff is, because I know that this is a popular thing right now. So I just want to be as transparent as possible so that you guys can feel comfortable with doing it yourself. Or if you don't want to mess with it at all, then maybe I can answer that question too. One more thing real quick is this oil cooler on the front. I don't know what I'm going to run on this because, you know, I will have this on the road a lot, but it's not like I'm going to be hammering on it. Like, I mean, occasionally, yes, obviously, but it's not like I'm going to be driving it like it was a police car. So I don't know if like the oil cooler and everything like that will be necessary. So I'm just going to kind of, you know, pick in people's brains and figure out for myself what I think will be the best fit for my application. And then we'll go from there. All right guys, so if you're interested in this kind of build or in this kind of tinkering around on stuff at all, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Again, I'm gonna be documenting this entire thing. It's gonna probably go fast, hopefully like a week or two, where I'm actually like getting everything installed start to finish. Where I actually started, I'm gonna wait till we have nice weather. Today we're supposed to have 90-mile-an-hour winds, so I probably will not be working on it today. And if it sounds like I'm kind of winded, I'm actually trying to hurry before the storm hits. So that's why I sound like I'm out of breath. I'm pacing around here aimlessly trying to get a video done. So anyways, All right, guys, so a little update. We actually did have a tornado in our small town, and we are currently running on a generator. I didn't have one at first, but we are without power for a few days. Well, a few days so far, and we don't know exactly when we're supposed to get power back on. But apparently there's another storm coming, so we are, or I guess I am just trying to get some work done out here off of a generator, and yeah, it's kind of a mess. But we did have a little tornado, and so bear with me if it takes a while to get this video out, especially if it takes a little bit to get to the next part of this truck build. Without power, we don't know yet, so we're just gonna wing it. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about all this stuff, this whole setup, the wheels, the tires, everything. Let me know what you guys think. Other than that, I'm gonna get this video edited before the power for sure goes out tonight, and I will see you guys in the next video.